Before we begin the substantive business of this meeting, I will ask everyone to please introduce themselves for the purpose of recording, so that the transcript of the meeting can be produced. That is as accurate as possible. Please state your name clearly. I will start by confirming that my name is Councillor David Connor and I am Chairman of the Planning Committee here at Fenland. Now, moving on anti-clockwise, would you please state your position, and thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Stephen Turnbull. I'm the Legal Officer advising the Planning Committee.
My name's Elaine Cooper and I'm from Member Services.
My name is Councillor Charlie Marks. I am Vice Chair of Planning.
My name is Councillor Mark Purser. I'm just a member of the committee.
My name is Councillor Sidney Maffidon. I'm a committee member.
I'm Councillor Jan French, Deputy Leader of the FDC.
My name is Ian Benny, just a member of this committee.
Andrew Connolly, Cambridgeshire County Council Transport Assessment Team.
Tom Donnelly, Senior Development Management Officer.
David Rowan, Development Manager at Fenland District Council.
Matthew Lee, Head of Planning, Fenland District Council.
Right, that sums that up nicely. Thank you everybody for the introductions. So we'll start now. Good afternoon everybody and welcome to today's Planning Committee meeting. Also to those members of the press and the public who are joining us via the live stream. Before we begin, please can I take this opportunity to remind everyone to turn their mobiles and computers to silent and ensure when using the microphones the red light is on and then turned off when you've finished speaking. So without further ado, we'll go to agenda item number 1, and I would like to ask Member Services if we have any apologies for absence, and it's Elaine today, thank you.
We've had apologies from Councillor Gerstner.
January 1st. Have I got a proposer for signing the minutes? Councillor French, have I got a seconder? Councillor Purser, thank you. Can I just have a show of hands to confirm that? Thank you, members. That's you. Now for the 4th of February, can I have a proposer for that? Councillor Miffordon, thank you. Have I got a seconder? Councillor French. To say the minutes are correct, obviously. Can I have a show of hands on that? That's unanimous. Thank you very much, members. So they're agreed. Everything's agreed there. Thank you. So now we'll go to agenda item number 3, which is urgent items. There is one, strangely enough, which will be considered at agenda item 12. Also, agenda item number 6 has been withdrawn. So I think that's fairly clear. Agenda item 4 is declarations of interest. Member Services will now go to each councillor in turn, and can you please state if you have anything to declare in relation to any agenda item this afternoon. So over to you, Elaine. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Benny.
Thank you, Elaine. Just to say that I'm a member of Chatteris Town Council, but I take no part in the discussions or voting at any planning matters. Usually leave the room when they take place. I know Matthew Hall of Morton Hall. As always, he's done work for me in the past. I've worked with him on council projects and personal for me. And also on the Crossroads application in March, I've received an email from Matthew Hall with some additional information. And just to declare that, that's everything. Thank you.
Councillor Connor.
Yes, like Councillor Benning, I've received additional information from Mr. Hall regarding the agenda item. Is it number 6? Is it? No, 7. Sorry. Thank you.
Councillor Mrs. French.
Member of Marchtown Council, but don't take any part in discussion, and also received an email from Matthew Hall.
Councillor Maffedon.
I'm a member of West Beach Town Council, but I don't take part in planning there. I also received an email from Matthew Hall, and I also know Matthew Hall on a professional level. Thank you.
Councillor Marks.
member of Meaney Parish Council. I also attend Chatteris Town Council on occasions, but leave the room when any planning is discussed. I've received information on item number 7 from Matthew Hall. Also recently, due to some issues regarding some planning within the village, I've been in contact, or Matthew Hall and I have been speaking, but I don't believe it's anything personal. It is purely on a business basis.
Councillor Purser.
Yes, thank you. I'm a member of March Town Council, but I don't take any part in any discussions or voting in the planning at all. I also have had work done with Matthew Hall, but we don't socialise or anything in that nature. But I have obviously had an email from him regarding number 7. Having said that, I don't believe I was actually present in item number 7 previously, so I'll be withdrawing completely from that item anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, members. Now we'll go to the main part of the meeting. Members should only make a proposal on a planning application when invited to do so. However, I will initially be asking if anybody is going to propose the officer's recommendation. Clearly, if no proposal is forthcoming or that proposal fails, I'll be then looking for an alternative proposal. Members are reminded respectfully that such proposals should be accompanied by the policy planning reasons for going against officer recommendations. So now I'll hand over to Tom Donnelly. He is the Senior Development Officer here at Fenland to present agenda item number 5, FYR 23/0942F. So Tom, when you're ready, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is a full planning application seeking the erection of 5 industrial units consisting of a mixed B2 and B8 use, the formation of a car park and cycle park and associated landscaping, with the site located on land south of March Trading Estate off Westbury Avenue. The aerial photograph identifies the land to be currently agricultural in nature and located to the south of other commercial and industrial development and to the north of residential development in March. The submitted site plan shows the industrial units located on the eastern part of the site, with areas of ancillary outdoor storage located on the western part of the site. And we have elevations of the proposed units and proposed street scene drawings from various points around the site. There are some photos of the application site, with the top 2 images looking across the site from the western boundary, looking towards the commercial and residential development to the north and south of the site respectively. So in terms of the assessments of the proposals, the application is considered to be acceptable in principle due to its location within the built form of the market town of March, and also considered to be acceptable in respect of character and appearance, amenity impact, flood risk, and biodiversity impacts. However, there are concerns regarding the impact of the development on the capacity and safety of the surrounding highway network, particularly the junction at Hotsmore Avenue and the A141. The highway modelling submitted in support of the application fails to account for several other permitted developments in March and therefore fails to provide a robust database for assessing the proposals. Accordingly, it's not been possible to secure a scheme of highway works that would provide adequate mitigation against the traffic movements generated by the proposal and the cumulative effect of these with other permitted developments. Therefore, the proposal fails to accord with policy LP15 of the Fenland Local Plan and is accordingly recommended for refusal on that basis. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Tom. We have no speakers on this application, strangely enough, so I'd like to invite members to put questions to officers. Just please note that we have a highways officer available to answer questions, so members, please take the opportunity to use him if you wish. So who are we going to start with first? Councillor French.
Thank you. This is to the highway officer. I was the chairman of the MATs at County Council from 2017 to 2025 when we discussed over the what we talked about over the last 8 years with regard to a roundabout at Hostmore. I don't know where the MATs has gone since I'm not a county councillor anymore, but that was repeatedly discussed. I understand that you also received something like £350,000 towards the Aldi new site. This site is actually in the middle of an industrial site, and if you can't build industrial units in industrial sites, we might as well all go home.
That was a question to the Highways Officer. I think that's perhaps a statement, Councillor French, but see how you get on with answering Councillor French's questions, kind statement. Thank you.
I'm not involved in the MAT scheme. It's not something I do on a daily basis. What I can tell you though is they have moved away from the roundabout and are now looking for an all movement signal junction. It requires less land and deals with the matter there a bit easier, and it's easier for the authority to deliver on the ground, if that answers your question.
Thank you. Have you any idea where they've got with the traffic lights? Because we've been discussing this for 8 years, and I understand there is a problem with somebody who owns a strip of land. So I don't know whether that's been resolved.
To deliver an improvement there, yes, there is third-party land that's needed, so there would have to be a CPO at some point. I think the issue at the minute is down to funding. There was an initial pot of funding received, and that's been spent elsewhere because these two junctions, I think the Hostmore and Peas Hill, are £8 million to deliver. So the money was spent elsewhere where it could actually deliver schemes rather than part fund these two. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions to the Highway Officer or our officers? Councillor Marks, thank you.
Regarding the highway, is it felt that the issue is traffic coming out of the end of the junction there, turning left or right, or is it more of a bigger problem further along, say past the Aldi to the 141?
Yeah, the issue is vehicles coming out of Hostmore Avenue onto the 141. At the minute, they have to go south. It's not an all movements junction, so then that puts a lot of U-turners at the Peas Hill roundabout, and U-turners, they create a lot of capacity issues because they cut off all other arms. So those where the issues lies rather than the access coming out onto Hostmore Avenue.
So the capacity is there.
No, the capacity is not there. No, otherwise we wouldn't be objecting. Do you mean on the Hostmore Avenue Peas Hill roundabout?
Yeah.
No, there's not capacity there at the minute. No, and there's a lot of committed development coming forward that puts a lot of pressure there. Audi are looking to deliver a set of signals there. So it's just a very constrained part of the network. And whilst there is a solution, the MAT scheme, that's unfunded at the minute, and it's not known on timescales as when that's funded.
Thank you.
So you mentioned about a strip of land, Councillor French, probably called a ransom strip, I suppose. So when this has been going on a long time now. I've been on this committee a long time, and this has been talked about, I don't know, 10 years or something. So we've known about this problem. It's been creeping up on us year by year, hasn't it? So why have we not put a compulsory purchase on this strip of land before it gets this bad? Why we took an active instead of reactive?
I don't know the answer to that. It's not a scheme I'm involved in. I deal with planning applications, whereas opposed to that's being a project. So it's not something I know the ins and outs of. But I think it probably comes down to funding. We wouldn't probably look to secure third-party land until we've got adequate funding to deliver a scheme.
So I suppose carrying on from that then, so your comments curtail anything else going on down there then, really, until such times as... Yeah?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So French. Yeah.
I think in the past, obviously, we had a roundabout solution. There was a planning application for Westbury, which was approved, which would have resolved a lot of issues because it allowed all movements junction. But obviously, that's over 10 years old now and hasn't come forward. So obviously, the county's had to look at developing its own solution.
Yeah, thank you for that, Councillor French.
Thank you. I will update you on the the person who owns the strip of land actually got the permission for the retail park across the road from where I live, and he has permission to put a roundabout in. The argument between County Council Highway and the owner of this bit of land is the size of the roundabout. He wants to put a bigger one in, and County Council don't. I mean, we're talking about left-hand turn only, still turn right out of there. That left-hand turn only was put in when Joe Tuck was the leader of County Council, and I believe that was about 2003. So it's well over 20 years ago. Highways have known about the problems on this junction for years and years. So I really do think it's unfair to accept that we refuse an application on industrial land because highways haven't done what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, and to be fair, I absolutely agree with you, Councillor French, but I will bring Councillor Marks in, thank you.
Could we have clarity on this? Is it a safety matter or is it because of capacity?
It's mainly a capacity issue, but obviously if you've got lots of vehicles queuing and people getting frustrated, it can sometimes lead to safety issues. So we wouldn't want to allow something that potentially causes a safety issue at a later date.
So, yeah. Okay, any more questions to officers? Any more questions to our officers before I close it? Surely there must be some. No? No? Okay, thank you very much. We're going to close that one then. So, members, I'd like you to debate the item in respect to the material planning considerations relevant to the application. If you'd like to speak, please put your hand up. Councillor Marks.
Thank you. We have an industrial area. We are Fenland, open for business. And it seems to me that we're now not open to business because highways haven't got their act together. It's not the developer that's got the issue. It seems to me it's highways that haven't got the budget or haven't done something. So what are we going to do? Are we just going to stop building there? Where else are we going to put this? We know very much that we have got properties. Everybody's after industrial properties. We've had 4, if not 5, applications recently. The Rutherford one, I believe they're already let, if not sold. You know, we need this, and it's in an industrial area. I have to say, we've heard it's a capacity issue more than a safety issue. My feeling is we should let it go through, and I'm happy to back it. And then hopefully highways will get their act together, find some money from somewhere, and either put traffic lights or a roundabout.
Take Councillor Benny first, and then Councillor French.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, wholeheartedly agree with Councillor Marks. If we keep turning this down, county won't do anything about this. This will push this up the list where we do get a roundabout. Might be a short-term loss for a long-term gain. It's industrial land. Nothing else. I fully support this application.
Bring Councillor French in.
Thank you. Yeah, the capacity issue isn't just the junction of Hostmore, it's Peace Hill roundabout. When I was the chairman of the MATS, I believe it was probably 2024, they decided to pull the Peace Hill because that wants major investment. And the problem is there, I mean, I live there, I know what the traffic's like there. Most people turn left when they're supposed to, and then they go right round the roundabout. Now that roundabout is costing highways a fortune to repair. It's probably every couple of months there's a repair because of the way the lorries are going round and then going right round in a circle to go the opposite way. I totally agree with what Councillor Benny and Marks has said. This is an industrial land and we need to be supporting local businesses.
Councillor Benny, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just something I just ask Councillor French really. I understand that the turn left was a temporary measure that was brought in.
Yes.
I mean, if that is the case, I was just checking because I know Councillor French had mentioned this to me. I mean, as a temporary measure, income tax was temporary, and we're still saddled with that. This should have been resolved, and I think it shows that the longer county can put off doing this, the more they will. And when it gets to the point where there is a real crunch, then this will be done. It'll be better for March if this is approved than not.
Councillor Marks.
I think following on from Councillor Benny and Councillor French, we've just had an Audi built there, which they paid towards having the road done. Why at that point did they not pay enough to have the traffic lights done? We knew this was going to become an issue. It hasn't suddenly happened and parachuted in. Again, I think highways have been very diligent in what they have done. And I think personally, it now just needs to be passed and then highways to sort it out.
Yeah, Councillor French.
Yeah, just to answer Councillor Marks, Aldi did actually pay 325,000 towards that. There was funding available from the combined authority. It's up to County Council and the MATS team to reapply for funding. It's not down to local businesses to suffer because of it.
Right, I think those who want to speak have already spoken very diligently about this, and I'm not going to go on, but I absolutely agree with everything everybody said. Oh, I'll just finish, Councillor Purser, and I shall be supporting this. But Councillor Purser, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I just have to say that I've listened to Councillor French, Councillor Benny, and Councillor Marks, and I feel that it goes to show that we're open for business in Fenland if we approve this, and I'm totally in support of it. I think it's the right thing to do.
Okay, I think. Oh, Councillor Marks, one more go.
Just quickly, Clerk, have it in there. I think, to be fair, our planning committee at FDC have been, sorry, our planners have been correct. They've with what they've put forward, it comes down to it's county that the problem have tried to be the problem in this, and I think good on what the planners have done with this to make that. I mean, it looks a very good, and we should be proud of what they're putting in front of us there today. Unfortunately, it's just been let down by highways.
Okay, Councillor French.
Thank you. It looks like this may get supported. If it is supported, can we please make sure that the developers are aware of the 9 metre, and it is 9 metres, not 5 metres, 9 metre strip for the dikes around there, and it is there is a report in the about middle level.
Yeah, it's in the report, isn't it? It's clear in the report there's a 9 metre strip, and they'll obviously have to deal with middle level commissioners to make sure that happens, won't they? So I'm going to close this debate now. Officers, have you got anything to say? No, you're having a very quiet afternoon so far. Let's hope it doesn't continue like that. We'll be done with 3. So, with that, do I have a proposer to go with officer recommendation to refuse planning permission? To refuse, to be clear. Obviously not. So that's obviously failed. Can I have another proposal, please? Councillor French? And the reasons, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I propose that we approve this application, and the reason for it, it's industrial land, industrial site, and we should be supporting local businesses.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for that? I'm happy with that. You want to second it, Councillor Miffordin? That's absolutely fine. So we've got a proposal to go against officer recommendation proposed by. Sorry.
In this. Yeah, obviously the conditions can be circulated, and obviously, normally I'd suggest it be the heads of terms rather than the actual
heads
agreement. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah. So, Councillor French.
Can I ask you? You're talking about Section 106. What have you got in your mind for Section 106?
Through you, Chairman, I think it's really to give us the option that if there needs to be a financial contribution towards highway works, then that can be delivered. And that would need a Section 106. It may be that actually it's the delivery of works within the highway, which may not need a Section 106 agreement, but to give the sort of flexibility going forwards, we'd need to have that sort of option to sort of be able to put to the developer to secure the necessary highway works.
Yeah, if I can just come back, there was quite a few industrial units built in Thorby Avenue, which is the other side of Hostmore Avenue, and I don't believe they had to contribute towards highways works. So I think we need to be consistent and not just try to get funding out this particular developer.
through you, Chairman, I can't recall exactly the scale of the units that are on Thorby Avenue. Obviously, we're looking at quite a substantial area of floor space here. As part of the application, it's actually indicated that there will be some off-site highway works. That's something that the applicant has actually put to us, and it's the most appropriate mechanism to secure those that we're talking about.
Yeah, and that is my sort of concern, that we need these. We've passed these more or less now, and we want to see these built. We don't want to see anything stopping unduly to stop these being built now, because we do need them in Fenland. So that is why I said if I can have a look at the conditions to make sure they're not too onerous, really. I don't know if that's possible, is it? It is? That's fine. So I'm happy with that. So going back 2 or 3 minutes, we had a proposition, proposal supported, seconded by Councillor Mifferton. Can I have a show of hands on that, please? Thank you. That has been approved. Thank you. Previously stated, number 6, application agenda 6 has been withdrawn, so I'll now hand over to Tom.
Sorry.
Just like to say thank you for attending this afternoon. Thank you. That's absolutely fine. Thank you. Right. We'll go back a little bit. Thank you. So we'll hand over to Tom Donnelly to present agenda item number 7, FYR 250089F. So again, Tom, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is an application seeking full planning permission for the erection of a self-built dwelling in association with a builder's yard, including the erection of a shed, a 2.4 metre palisade fence and gates, the siting of 6 containers and the formation of an access. The application was previously heard at Planning Committee on the 15th of October and was deferred to allow further consideration of the health and safety implications in relation to the adjacent airfield. It should also be noted that an update report has been published ahead of the meeting, setting out the further comments from the Council's environmental health team, which will be touched on in more detail. So by way of a reminder of the proposal to members, the site is located on the eastern side of Cross Road in March and currently comprises an undeveloped parcel of land, with the impacted airfield located on the opposite side of Cross Road to the west of the application site. The submitted site plan shows the development to be set back from the public highway, with the residential element located on the northern half of the site and the builder's yard located on the southern half of the site. The dwelling is 2-storey, 4-bed in nature, with floor plans and elevations illustrating this. And there are also elevations of the proposed shed and palisade fencing. And street scene elevations from Cross Road looking towards the application site. And we have an aerial photo showing the further context, which shows the extent of the adjacent airfield in relation to the application site, with the airfield outlined in blue. So this image was previously provided by the owner and operator of the airfield, showing the direction of takeoff and landing from the airfield in relation to the application site, along with the safeguarding zone surrounding the airfield, as stipulated by aviation law. Following the deferral of the application at the October committee meeting, further comments were sought from the Civil Aviation Authority in this respect, but none were forthcoming. However, CAA guidance in respect of planning application states the following. Aerodrome safeguarding responsibilities rests with the aerodrome licence holder / operator, not the Civil Aviation Authority. Accordingly, any local planning authority inquiry concerning a specific development that might have aerodrome safeguarding implications should be forwarded directly to the relevant aerodrome licence holder or operator. Photos of the application site show its open and undeveloped nature and natural screening features adjacent to the public highway and its relationship to the structures present on the adjacent airfield site. So in assessing the development proposal, it's considered that the location of the site in an elsewhere location conflicts with the aims and objectives of the Fenland local plan and would result in the creation of an unjustified residential and industrial use in an unsustainable location, therefore rendering the proposal unacceptable in principle. Subsequently, the development would also result in an encroachment on the open countryside, resulting in harm to the landscape character of the area. The site is also located within Flood Zone 3 and fails both the sequential and exception test in respect of flood risk. And finally, the proposal fails to demonstrate that the existing airfield could continue to operate in a safe and unconstrained manner, given safety and noise impact issues. The application is accordingly recommended for refusal on this basis. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Tom. We have two sets of speakers on this application. First, I'd like to ask Nigel Davis, an objector, to make his presentation to the committee. You've got 5 minutes. And could I, just before you do your presentation, could I ask you to introduce yourself for the benefit of the YouTube? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Committee. My name's Nigel Davis. I'm the owner of March Airfield and Chief Flying Instructor. So I've got a slide presentation. So I'll start by saying we have no objections to the application in principle. Okay, it's just the location of where the application has been proposed. On this diagram, I've shown to the northern end of the applications field, there is adequate room there to put the same application without any disturbance, interference or safety risks to the airfield, giving us a clear 500-foot safeguarding area, which was put in place by the LPA, by ourselves and them in 2021 after a previous application was put in. Next one, please. So this demonstrates, unlike the previous meeting where somebody showed the approach to our airfield in a straight line, that is incorrect information and more used by a normal airfield with heavier aircraft. With paragliding, we have to come into a circuit, off the circuit pattern around the airfield, and then we have to lose height prior to landing. As you can see by the squiggly figure of 8 diagrams there, this illustrates where currently we would do figure of 8s to lose height prior to landing in the field. Taking into consideration we are a school, not just an airfield. Okay, so this happens a lot. This is shown in our predominant wind direction of a westerly direction for the UK. So this is the majority of our flights would come in on this approach. If you take into consideration where the proposal is, this is directly overhead of the proposed building, which is why if it was put to the north of the property, it'd be in a safe area, unobstructed to ourselves. And I think from the CAA letter that you received after or prior to the last meeting, that would stop any heat or wind turbulence from the proposal being in the exact position it's put at the moment. Okay, next one, please. This diagram shows the circuit pattern around the school. So when students take off, they then increase height to do a circuit above 500 foot around the airfield, prior to yet again coming back on the circuit doing figure of 8s to lose height prior to landing, which is why we require a 500 foot safeguarding area. Next one, please. This is official government legislation documents, CAP 738 from the CAA. This is outlining, on the next page please, the regulations and safety guidelines that we have to apply to, which is our 500 foot rule. Okay, this in the aviation industry is known as the 500 foot bubble. It's an area around an airfield, it's safeguarded, and also you can't fly below 500 foot unless we take off or land. Okay, so within that you can't fly over people, obstacles, vehicles or vessels. Next one, please. And the next one. So this is the actual 500-foot legislation rule. This can also be found in the new SERA document, which is SERA.5005 section F, which highlights all the new European 500-foot regulations as well. So I just want to emphasise 500 foot is so important to us for safety. Okay, we can't fly within structures, people, vehicles, or vessels, and by putting this application through in its current location, physically you're making us break the law. Okay, there's plenty of room on that 11-acre plot. If the council decide it can go ahead for the other objections in there, that there's room there to put the structures, the buildings, the builder's yard, everything else. There's no reason it can't be moved to the north, and we have no objections to the guy in principle building there. It's not an issue to us. The issue is, you know, I've been here 3 times seeking planning permission to build our business over 16 years, which you've granted. And at this point, if this is successful in the current location, sorry, if this is granted in the current location, you'll literally shut my business down. Any questions, please?
Yep. Questions, clarifications to Mr. Davies? Yeah, questions, clarifications to Mr. Davies, and Councillor Marks has one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Davies. As you're probably aware, I think we saw you yesterday, both the chairman and myself. We actually came down to site and spent probably 20 minutes, half an hour down there having a look. A couple of questions. Do you first class yourself as an airfield? You are, and you come under CAA legislation. Okay.
Hang on a second before we go on. Can you just turn your light on when you're speaking and turn it off, because it doesn't. It's not that you're doing too much wrong, but the YouTube can't hear the conversation between you and the committee. So, Councillor Marks, can you ask your question again, and then hopefully we'll get the light sequence right.
Okay, so basically I was just looking for clarification that you class yourself as an airfield.
Yes, we are officially March Airfield. We are on all the CAA air charts, maps and everything else. We have all height zone and radio service as well.
When you look at some of the reports, the CAA refer you back to your governing body. So does your governing body give you the legislation, or is it via the CAA?
The CAA is our governing body, so we're aircraft, so we fly by the air law of the ANO.
Okay, one other question. Sorry, one other question. A bit confused. Drove down that lovely bumpy road yesterday. Had a quick look on, because I was trying to work out whether your designation as an airfield. You have no airfield signs up though.
Well, because we don't normally, aircraft don't drive to my airfield, they fly in.
But you should be warning traffic that's coming through. As of last time when you made presentation, you said you had to be in control of all and give warning. So, but there are no signs up on the roadside to say that this is an airfield.
But if you went to Holwich, Fenland airfield, there's no signs there, but there is windsocks, which we clearly mark as well.
It's not directly beside the road.
Well, you can see my windsocks from the bypass.
Sorry, I think we're splitting hairs here, but it's looking at what it's saying on the net. It should be by the side of the road. If there is an airfield beside the road, and you're saying that it could be a hazard, so therefore you've got lorries, stuff going to the poultry farm and tractors and stuff, where you said last time you needed full control on. You haven't got that control.
That's fine. I'll put signs up here if that's what you require. Not a problem.
Okay.
Sorry, can I just clarify? I don't require it. It does say on the net.
Okay. Councillor Miffordon, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Mr. Davies. Just a quick question about the figure of 8 base leg takeoff and landing. I understand you have to come in from a particular direction when you come into land. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is just an example of a westerly takeoff and landing. we can take off in any direction on the compass. But I'm showing you the predominant wind direction in the UK is westerly, which is why I've done this illustration based on that. But we always have to land into wind and take off in the wind. So yeah, we are dominated by the wind.
Thank you. My other question is, does the figure of 8 loop, does it have to be in that particular location? Can it be moved further backwards or in either direction?
No, the lines of a circuit are take off, crosswind, downwind, base leg, approach. Okay, it's your 4 sides of a circuit. And the reason we do a figure of 8 close to the airfield is because if they mess it up, you've got to remember these are students, not always trained pilots, and we're flying school. If they mess anything up, they can still glide safely into the airfield. So if they did it into the field to the east, say, and they messed it up, they'd land in the field next to us, not our airfield. So it's always done on what we call a base leg side. So the turns and then manoeuvres are always in a safe height, and at any point I could get them to peel off and land because they've made a mistake or they're too low or whatever. If they was in the field to the east side, that would mean that they'd land out of the airfield.
Okay, Councillor Benny.
Good afternoon. Just asking, if you need all this space, why didn't you buy all the land around it? If you need that much space to operate an airfield, you haven't got enough space to run an airfield from, I would have thought. How does that sit with the CAA in terms of you flying over other people's land? If you need that much space where all that is, surely that airfield's not big enough.
It's a valid question, but you can say it with any airfield. I mean, the problem we are, because we're ultralight aircraft, we don't move fast. So it's not like we're in and out quickly. Our maximum speed sort of 25 mile an hour. So we sort of float about a lot longer, you know. And to be honest, we've never had a problem in 16 years. I don't see why we should have a problem now. You know? And we are one of the biggest schools in the country, I'll let you know, and we draw customers in from all over the country. You know, we're not just a tin pot company. You can, the CAA in their letter, we are recognised with the CAA as a qualified, quality, safe training school. And that's all we're asking is to stay safe and keep our operation active. We're going to lose Chatteris Airfield soon. You know, airfields are really, really rare at the moment. We've lost Connington, we're going to lose Chatteris, and we are a big, you know, community gatherer for getting pilots in the air as a training school.
Yeah, thank you for that. Councillor Marks.
Thank you. Can I ask then, so I visited site yesterday. You've got quite a tall green building, which is quite modern. You've also got a house that's within your airfield zone. So how come that is safe and your novice pilots won't hit that instead of a building that's 500 feet away or whatever? Why have you built that there? Surely that puts quite a safety issue, and especially if they're going to be a lot lower when they're coming into land.
If you look at my picture, okay, we don't do circuits over the house. We don't do circuits over the airfield. We do circuits around an airfield, okay? I don't understand why. You know, I control my pilots. Simple as that. They're all on radio, okay? There is no conflict with my property and my buildings with what my pilots do. I'm in control of them. But the thing I think you're missing is what the CAA wrote you a letter of, is the turbulence caused by buildings. Now, having buildings directly on my figure of 8 coming into land, where they're losing height, okay, and legally can fly below 500 foot, being affected by heat and turbulence, do you want the responsibility of somebody's wing collapsing and being impaled on, let's say, fencing, or, you know, critically harmed or killed? Because it shouldn't be there. You should be safeguarding our business. We are an airfield, and there's laws no different to what you can't build a house on a roundabout on a highway. You know, it's the same thing, but in a different context. We're aviation, that's highways. You can't go doing silly things and interfering with aircraft. Aircraft have got more rules in this country than the highways have.
Thank you. Thank you for the lesson. No, that's fine. I'll take the lesson on the chin. Not a problem at all. However, we have heard that we can, move your circuits. You still have a building standing there. You say you're in control of your pilots, so why can't you be in control of your pilots further afield?
I don't know what you mean further afield.
When they're coming into land, you've already said you could move over, but if there was a problem, they would land in a field. Well, surely landing in a field is better than landing near your property, for instance.
They wouldn't need to land in my property. They need to land on an airfield. And to do that, they have to circuit and do base leg turns, as I've illustrated.
Which can be moved, the circuits.
The direction can be moved, as in around the circumference, but not out.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions at all? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Please do.
Very, very quickly. At what height do they come in and do they look before they land? So let's say that if there was a structure on this site, at what height will your students or whoever's flying come in over this particular property?
They can come in from any height they want onto circuit, okay, which they'd lose height on the circuit to approximately 500-600 foot, and then they'd start losing height from that point to line up for landing. Okay. But the lower you are, and if you want to start getting into turbulence, thermic rotor and rotor will be here all day. But the lower you are, the more susceptible you are to turbulence. Okay, and these size buildings and the angles at which they're placed and the position they're placed would be a major hazard to our aircraft. We are not fixed wings, we are made of fabric. Okay, and we are very susceptible to turbulence and heat rotor. That's why we don't fly in the day in the summer, we fly in the mornings and the evenings because it's too thermic. That's how sensitive we are. Okay, I'm not being awkward and I don't want Mr. Banner not to develop. That's up to him, but I did say from day one, you need to be outside of our 500 foot area. Okay, because that's what we do.
So you say you're very busy and you get people from all over England and probably farther afield. So how many days do you think, how many clients have you got in a general working week?
To be quite honest, this time of year we're really quiet because we've had really bad weather. Currently we've got 47 students on the book. And if you go through my objection people that put letters in on previous objections, you'll see where they're from. You know, as far as near Scotland, in Wales, down London, East Coast, we get from all over the place. We get very few people locally. You know, we get a lot of people because of our reputation for safety will travel past 2 or 3 schools to get to us. So we do something right, and we want to just maintain what we do and keep our business strong. You know, it's just I don't understand why we put this safeguarding in with the LPA in 2021. I don't understand why we're getting this still. You know, I haven't been very well in the past, and I don't need this stress in my life. I really don't.
Because in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I suppose, since I knew this application was coming to committee, I've been down there, that awful road, and in a vehicle, and I haven't seen anyone at all, having lessons or anything up in the air. I've obviously seen some work going on at your establishment, but I've not seen anybody at all doing any flying whatsoever. So thank you for that.
This year to date, we've had 6 days on the floor training because a lot of our work is training on the floor, and we've had 4 days flying. That's how bad the weather's been, which is probably why you missed us.
So that just concurs with what I've said, then, doesn't it? So, anybody else got any more questions at all for Mr. Davis before we let him go? No, thank you very much. So now I'd like to ask Matthew Hall, of course he's the agent, and Mark Venai, he's the applicant, to make their presentation to the committee. When you're ready, you've got 5, introduce yourselves, And then after you've done that, you've got 5 minutes to make your presentation. Use the time how you feel for the best for yourselves.
I'm Mark Fenland, the applicant.
I'm Matthew Hall, Morton and Hall, the agent. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Firstly, you asked me to go away and find out some law and thing about the safety. So I contacted the CAA. They never got back to me. Then I contacted the British Hang Gliding and Paragliding Association, which are part of the governing body for the CAA. And I got a letter and report from the senior technical officer. And firstly, he says on safety, the air navigation law, the air law that Mr. Davis says is no aircraft shall fly closer than 500 foot to any vessel, vehicle or structure unless they are landing and taking off, and they can fly closer then. And this is what he explained to me in layman's terms. And then obviously he says, from a legal perspective, this because Mr. Kewer knows Mr. Davis's airfield. He says this is specifically allowed and it appears straightforward to operate a circuit pattern which maintains a safe separation distance from the structures. He said it's doable. And in his opinion, the airfield operation should be possible to manage in a way that mitigates any risk to safety and to comply with the letter of the law. That was his words. And when taking off to the east circuits, which is towards my land, you could bank right, i.e. turn south after a climb out would certainly be doable. That was in his words. So the L buildings, they're quite, like I said before, when I before I come to the committee, I spoke to Mr. Davis and asked him what would be safe and doable, and we come up with this. Mr. Hall spoke to him as well, and he was happy, and then he decided he wasn't. So, look, my buildings are over 500 feet away, most of them. They're smaller than his buildings. The trees behind my house are much higher than anything around there. So I'm just a bit confused. So with the planning as well, he's got planning for shepherd huts and hard standing along the side and the back of his landing. So obviously he's prepared to land over them as well. I know what he says. I don't know anything else about that, but the fence I can change. If he's not happy with the palisade fence, we can change that. The noise, I've been down there quite a lot. I've seen him fly 2 or 3 times in the last 8-9 months, and you can't really hear them. You know, it's actually quite nice to see them flying about, to be truthful with you. I don't mind it. But I'll do what I have to, but like I say, I've done it so we are safe. You know, they were safe, because I don't want anyone to get hurt either. You know, Mr. Cura says it's perfectly safe to do it, and he is one of the part of the governing body. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'll just pick up on a few things. I won't repeat what I said at the last committee, and obviously Mark's picked up on about obviously the aerodrome next to us. So the applicant is happy to sign a legal agreement for a self-build dwelling. It is a self-build. He owns the dwelling. He owns the land. Sorry, he'll be building it himself, and he will reside in this occupational dwelling if approved. At the October's meeting, when the application was deferred for additional information from the CAA, which the officer obviously contacted, and we've not had anything back from them. My understanding was that there were no concerns from members on the other 4 reasons for refusal. It's purely just this one which Mark has talked about. We submitted a flood risk assessment. The applicant needs a yard and a shed with this occupational dwelling. This sort of development is not available in town. We need some space for this development. His existing yard down Elm Road, the owner there wants the space back, so obviously he's got to get out of that yard. The proposal would be set back 100 metres back from Cross Road, so it wouldn't be detrimental for the street scene. Could we have the Google map on the screen? No, that's sorry. Could we have Mr. Davis's map on the screen, if that's okay? If that's okay, the one with his figure of 8, if that's okay, please. Thank you. And he's obviously got 500 feet away, and his figure of 8s, etc. To be clear to members, some members may visit sites and may
15
not.
seconds.
I don't know. I'm going to run out of time. Within that 500 feet, there are already buildings that Mr. Davis owns, and he's got planning permission, as Mark said, which we got for various pods and everything, even at the end of the field, at the end of the runway, as I'll call it. So there are buildings well within that 500 feet. Yes, Mr. Davis controls them, I understand it, but they're buildings, they're structures, and they don't move. Sorry. Thank you.
Right, so Mr. Hall, have you finished? I know your time's done, but I'm happy to allow this to continue for another minute, provided if Mr. Davis is happy with it or Mr. Davis has got something to add to it. Because I think it's very important that we do that.
We shouldn't be making that decision.
Well, we've done it now.
You can't.
I've done it before. Well,
We shouldn't allow the applicant another
but
minute.
at the end of the day, I think it's really, really important that we get to the bottom of this. It's been back before us, and something else has got to add to it. But I'm Councillor French.
Thank you. I think I'm going to ask Mr. Hall. You're right. I'm going to ask Mr. Hall. You mentioned about these pods. How many pods are going down there? And we did visit the site.
At the western end, as I'd call it, there'd be 3 at that end, and then along the northern face, there's pitches for, I call them touring caravans, and there's an access down that side. So at the end, the western end, in effect, the start or end of the runway, there's permission for 3 pods, isn't there? At the end.
The reason we put them there is because normally ones are at least one.
So we no, that's continue.
So at the end, on the western end, down the western end of Mr. Davis's field, there's permission for 3, and then along the northern face, there's a drive, bin storage, touring caravans, etc. along that northern face, all within that green airfield that he's highlighted. Yes.
If I can just come back to Mr. Venai, you say that you've been given notice where you are down Elm Road. What kind of notice have you been given?
Well, I was supposed to be out by now, but because of what's gone on, he is helping me, but he wants his yard back because he's going to develop it. So as soon as possible, otherwise I will have to find somewhere to go.
Okay, Councillor Marks.
The Lowlando trees at the back of the site, will they actually be taller than the properties that are being suggested?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Miffordin.
I was going to ask this question. Also, you're going to cite some containers on site. Will any of the containers be stacked on top of each other? Okay, thank you.
Anybody else got any more questions for Mr. Hall or Mr. Venai before we let them go? Councillor Benny, you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Venai, you said earlier that you spoke with Mr. Davis previous to before you spoke to Matthew to put the plans together to pull this forward. Was that a favourable outcome when you spoke to them, or was that and to Matthew as well? I believe you said both of you spoke to them. It seems that you've gone to an awful lot of trouble for somebody to change their mind halfway through. I really don't know where this one sits at the minute. So
yes, I went and spoke to Mrs. Davis. That's why I wanted the building in the corner opposite Mr. Davis's property. But he said, well, it could interfere with landing. So we come up with moving it over, and then so I spoke to Mr. Hall, and then Mr. Hall spoke to Nigel as well, and we was happy with that. And then Mr. Davis don't want to hear someone else's noise.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions at all before we let them go? No, thank you very much. Members, questions to officers? Members, questions to officers? Councillor French?
Yeah, just a quick question. They have got planning permission for these pods and touring caravans or whatever. Did you take that into consideration with the was it CAA, when that permission was originally granted? Because I don't remember it coming to committee.
Through you, Chairman, any relevant consultations would have been done at the time of that application. I personally can't remember that application being in myself, but yeah, any consultations that were necessary would have been done.
Okay, any more questions to officers? You're looking puzzled, Councillor Marks?
Sorry, I was just thinking back to the application that the gentleman put in originally, because it was for for security, that we passed that, not for pods or anything else.
Indeed, indeed. Anybody else got any more questions to officers? Yep, so I'm going to bring for the YouTube, I'm going to bring in Stephen, our legal executive. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to draw members' attention to the scenario we have here. Whilst there is the general rule is that planning authorities cannot be liable for, if they properly grant planning permission, for any subsequent events that may occur on that site. My concern, having looked at the documents here, is that the CAA haven't objected, but they have raised a couple of what you might call safety concerns, in particular heat coming off buildings and other concerns. And the CAA also advised officers to listen to the licence holders' views, which we have done today. And what I would say is that if permission is granted today, and God forbid there is some sort of future incident or personal injury, I could not rule out that the council might be liable should there be any kind of claim on the basis that the council has, as it were, instigated the development of a hazard, in inverted commas, on this site. So whilst case law is very limited and there's no clear-cut answer, that is a risk. It's a small risk, but it is a risk that should there be some sort of future incident, the council might well be claimed against for damages. So I hope that's clear, but happy to answer any queries.
Okay, so what we'll do is, Councillor Bennett, questions to Stephen then, please.
You say there's a risk. Flying is a hazardous thing anyway. We're not meant to do it. Birds do it, we don't. There are buildings around there. We've approved those. If anyone crashed into Mr. Davis's house or his big green shed, would we be liable for that? And also, you and I have had the discussion about significance. Significant. Is it a significant risk? Is this a significant risk? And it's how you interpret that significant risk. You know, you've given us our advice, but you're saying that it could be. I mean, the council could be open to all sorts of claims for all sorts of things, and the council deals with those as they come along. So you've told us worst case, because that's what solicitors do. They always give you the worst case and, you know, give you the worst case scenario, and you make your decisions based on that. So is this a significant risk, in your opinion?
In terms of quantifying the risk, I would say it's not significant. But if it succeeds, then it will clearly be significant. But I think the risk is quite small. Let me just illustrate that by, there was a case about 20 years ago in the New Forest, where the District Planning Authority approved a footpath, which the Highway Authority said would be dangerous, but they approved it anyway and entered into a 106 agreement for it to be built. And subsequently, I think a motorcyclist was killed because of the danger of that footpath and the lack of sightlines. And the council were held liable because they had been aware of the risk. They still granted planning permission for that risk, for that development. So that's just an extreme example of what might occur. If you're pushing me, I would say it's probably a 10% risk that the council might be held liable if there were some future incident.
Sorry, I'll say that again because I wasn't on camera. If I could come back, I just want to quantify the level of risk. We have passed a footpath in Eastwood End that joins to the A141. There is an element of risk with that. So if somebody got run over on that footpath, would the council be liable there? There is a, if we're looking at it in black and white, where does the significance of the level of risk fall?
No, you wouldn't be liable there unless the county were saying to you, this is a severe danger and you might result in accidents. So that's the only circumstances where you might be liable.
But the CAA, sorry, I'll just come in there, Councillor Marks. The CAA are not saying it's dangerous or severe risk anyway, are they? They're saying they're just making comments. They're not really making one judgment or another, are they?
Well, they are raising concerns.
Well,
that's
they're
the best way to put it.
They're not saying categorically it's a risk, are they? Or severe risk.
No, they are. It's fair to say they are raising concerns. That's as far as you could go. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not using the language of severe risk, but they are the proper consultation body, and the council should take their views quite seriously.
Yeah, I think we are doing. Councillor Marks.
Sorry, this is for Stephen again. I'm slightly confused whether the risk is due to the building causing thermals to make the person crash, or they're actually going to just crash into the building. Is regarding thermals and buildings, gentleman's already put up on his own property a green shed, which I guess will give thermals. Is there any way within we as planners can say, or sorry, as a committee can say that the whatever the construction is built with should limit the thermals?
That's beyond my technical expertise, but that's one of the risks that CAA have pointed out. I mean, I don't know the answer to that.
I'm happy for our officers to answer that if they can. Thank you.
Through you, Chairman. So the comments from the Civil Aviation Authority dated March last year talk about thermal energy and such energy is known to radiate upward from surface-based infrastructure such as buildings, roofs, paved surfaces, metallic surfaces, glass surfaces and others. So I think short of building the house out of plastic, you've probably not really got much scope to limit the materials.
Does that satisfy your concerns, or would you like to carry on?
Sort of.
You're going to bear it at the moment. Yeah. Okay. So still questions to officers. I'm going to give you another 5 seconds if anybody wants any. No, we're going to close that then. Okay. Thank you. So I'd like to invite members to debate the item in respect to the material considerations. And Councillor Benny, you're going to listen in debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. When this came here last time, I looked at this and I thought, we've got two different opposing views here. And whenever you get composing views, what I wanted to do was get to the bottom of whether this is right. And really, I pushed for the deferment because I wanted something from either party, and I didn't really care which one it was. Not care is the right word. I wanted the right decision on this one. And I would like to have seen something from the civil aviation that come back and says, no, this is dangerous. And we haven't got that. We've also had that both parties were quite happy and then all of a sudden they're not. And we look at the plan up there and all of a sudden all the aircraft movements are over this piece of land. I still don't know. I don't know which side on this is right or wrong. But I pushed for the deferment last time when, truthfully, I would have been happy to pass this. It's a builder's yard. Why would we not support that? A house dwelling that goes with the business. We do this at planning committee quite regularly because we are open for business and we do want to promote business in Fenland. And this is a Fenland business. It's already here and we should be supporting that, which I fully get. But equally, the airfield is also a business which we're supporting. But when I pushed for the deferment, I wanted somebody to come back with some firm documents that said either way. And I don't think we've come back with anything from either side. And here we are. We've now got a planning application in front of us. I don't know which way I'm going to vote on this one today. We do have it where people fall out and we get told all sorts of things at planning committee. And really, you always try and put that to one side and look at what's there. I don't know. The deferment didn't deliver what I hoped it would when we asked for it.
That's clear to say. Councillor Marks.
I think listening to both parties, and I would certainly agree with Councillor Benny, it hasn't brought back a slam dunk yes or no. We're still in this very grey area, which we were always told planning training was a grey area for us as a committee, black and white for the planners. Listening to Stephen, the legal officer, we are hearing there is maybe a 10%, concern. It's not, again, a slam dunk saying, there is an issue as such. I look at this map that's been drawn and see this circling. Now, obviously, if the two parties previously had got together and they'd actually decided this was the place that the house was going, why suddenly has this changed? The gentleman over there is the so-called professional. We're being told we have to go a lot by that. Why then did they first and foremost come up with this plan where this property is now? Surely they would have put the property elsewhere. I can't see the applicant wasting time and money, heartache and effort, and by the sounds of things, he's got notice to be out of a yard, to go and waste time and money now to be sitting here the second time round or whatever, because suddenly, this property. So I'm slightly confused as to why he would have drawn those plans in the way it's been drawn now, unless initially there was no problem. Suddenly there becomes a problem. You go down there, you see it. I don't sort of like hang from the sky on a bit on like these guys do, but they are, yes, they're in training and stuff. But I'm sure, like a lot of stuff, they can move across slightly. We've already heard we had this applicant come in initially because of security. Now he's put up a very big green building, which obviously also does thermals. There's going to be other properties there doing thermals. I'm slightly concerned that we're going to be stopping a builder's yard. Yes, there hopefully could be mitigation, as David has already said. Build your house out of plastic. Well, maybe a Lego house is called for, but at the end of the day, if we can work mitigation against this, I'm really on the side of, at the moment, as much as I don't want to affect this gentleman's business, we are open for business for other businesses as well. What are we going to do? Have people put airfields all over the place and say they can't have buildings?
Yeah, we're still in debate, everybody. I went down there yesterday with Councillor Marks, already been stated earlier, and I am fairly certain in my mind, with the information that's given us by Stephen, our legal executive, that I think the solution could be worked out here. I think the figure of 8 could be moved a shade out, so it would have nothing at all to do with the running of the business at all. I think they both could live in harmony, and I'm like Councillor Marks. I can't see where we've got to this point where where the applicant and the March Airfield owner, Mr. Davis, are in loggerheads when they've agreed something probably a year ago now, because it's 6 months since it came here, more or less. So I'm like Councillor Marks. I'm a bit confused, but I'm sort of leaning at the moment that we pass this application, but I'll see what the rest of the committee have got to say. But yeah, on planning balance, I think, yeah, okay. Anybody else at all? Councillor Mifferton, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just like you said, I'm sure that the figure of 8 and the flight pattern of the aircraft as they come in, it's not like a perfect line, is it? So, in my opinion, I'm sure something can be done with that, because the other buildings on the site, on the airfield itself, they must release thermals as well, and they must create turbulence as well. Now, if those do, and there's a way for them to circle and land safely, I don't see why they can't do the same with this application that's coming in.
Yep. Okay, I think that's a fair point. Councillor Miffordin, Councillor Marks again.
I think one question we didn't actually properly ask, which we probably should have done, is what height do they drop to before they actually go onto the airfield? I mean, if they, at the end of the day, they've still got to get onto the airfield, so they must still be at some sort of height to get across that road and into the airfield. So that's probably a question that we missed out asking. Number two, going back to Stephen and the 10%, going back to the previous application, we heard from the highways officer, it was 80%, or 80 or 90% was down to congestion, but 10% was down to safety. But we still took, we're in the same boat with this one again today. It sounds to me, regarding litigation and stuff, we're in a 10%. So the more I look at it, the more I think I'm going to have to support the application.
Okay, Councillor Miffordin again, thank you.
So I think he said they're coming at 500 feet.
Yeah. What height before they came into land?
What Councillor Marks is getting at is from the figure of 8, what height are they doing when they cross the road to get into land on the airfield? I think that's the crux of the matter, where we're trying to get to, not how far they are up. I think just on that, just to clarify on
so
that.
when they break off the figure of 8, so it'd be approximately 100 to 75 foot coming in.
So from the figure of 8.
Yep.
To landing over the road, 75
Yep.
feet.
75 to 100 foot, depending on the wind speed, because they sink. If it's less wind, they sink quicker. So between 75 and 100 foot.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I just felt that was the right thing to do, because that was a bone of contention for a couple of us here this afternoon. So, Councillor Marks, you carry on.
Right, I'm just converting that into sensible metric. So it's 75 feet equals 22.86 metres, and the building at the end, the proposed building, is no more than, I believe, 9 metres to the eaves. So, and that's at the far end of the against the far conifers. So the new proposed building would be, and so there would still be 13-metre gap.
Work out the maths again.
Sorry, right. So
don't think.
Let's start again. So we are 75 feet is 22.86 metres. So as they come into land, so as they cross the road, they've got to, that's at worst ways is what we're being told. Okay, so the building, the new proposed building that will be against the conifers at the far end, has a height, an eave height of no more than 9 metres. So 9 metres from 22, 13. So there is 13-metre clearance, even worst ways by the conifers as they come across to go into land. Do you not agree? Yeah, and sorry, not the conifers, the building. So it's 13 metres. Now, the head of planning is now looking as though he's confused.
It's not that I'm confused, through you, Chairman. It's just obviously the concern relates to things such as thermals coming off it. So it's the concern isn't that they're going to fly into the building or the conifers. It's in relation to thermals, etc., coming off of the buildings, causing issues that cause health and safety problems. So I'm not an expert on how thermals work, the distances they impact, but I don't think any of the members are either. So the distance being 13 metres, or if it was 130 metres, to me would make no difference, because I don't understand the physics behind it. And I don't think any of that's in front of the committee either. So I wouldn't be suggesting that members do a calculation like that and then rely on it, because I don't understand how thermals work to a detail that would be able to confirm or deny that level of assessment, and I don't think any other member does. Thank you, Chairman.
Can I come back on that?
Yeah.
Okay. To be fair, all I was trying to work out is what the height was, not regarding the thermals, what the height is on average as they go into land. Because what I was concerned about, and I understand what you're saying about thermals, but the height of the building is what I was more getting at that point, and the safety, how far away these buildings are from, you know, and we've been told, oh, yes, they've got thermal issues, but also there is the height of the building that comes into this as well.
Chairman, just for clarity, that isn't the concern we've raised. That's all I'm saying, is that it's not about the buildings being flown into per se. It's the impact from them. So yeah, I just for clarity, the point you may have made may be factually correct, Councillor Marks, but I just don't think it adds to the debate around the reason for refusal, which doesn't talk about flying into the building. That's all I'm just saying. Members to misdirect themselves. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Right, we're still in debate after all this. Anybody else want to add to it? Longingly, I'm looking at you all. Anybody else want to add to it before I close it? Right, I'm going to close the debate now. So I'm going to bring officers. Have you got anything to say at all?
Well, through Chairman, obviously just highlight, obviously there is, I think it's 5 reasons for refusal, obviously, so the debate hasn't dealt with any of those other issues at all, just for clarity. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Right, okay. So you've heard what the officers have got to say. So I'm looking, so do I have a proposer to go with officer's recommendation to refuse planning permission for this application? So to be clear, to refuse it. Last chance? No. So obviously that proposal has failed. So I'm looking for another proposal, please. Well, I think
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to
First of all, what's your proposal and the reasons for going against officer recommendation, please, Councillor Marks?
So I am looking to go against officers. I propose to go against officers' recommendation. Whilst I hear everything that the gentleman has said, the business that is already there, I think that there is justification. It's not been clearly shown to us that there is an issue as such. I think mitigation could be put in place regarding the type of building and stuff as well to cut down on thermals. There is a need for this builder's yard. We've already heard from the applicant regarding he's already been served notice. You don't put builder's yards in the middle of towns these days. They tend to be elsewhere locations, as we've done in the past. And any others, guys, that you'd like to jump in with?
Yeah. So I'm going to. Sorry?
5 reasons for refusal.
Yeah. Let's bring those 5 reasons up.
Bring
Hang
them
on.
up on there. Can we bring them back up on the screen, please?
Yeah. So elsewhere location. I think
we all accept that this will be an elsewhere location, because you can't put builders' yards these days
anywhere else
in a town, and unless it's an industrial area. But it looks to almost it's going to be a self-build. It almost looks to be a workplace home anyway. Nobody else.
my opinion is it's a 4-bedroom house. It's nothing out of normal, is it? Really, to be fair. Garage also, storage sheds and storage containers. Storage containers are about 8 foot high, I suppose, 7'6" high, something like that. And they can either be 20, 30 or 40 feet in length. So that, to me, is just of the norm, really. I used to have them when I had a breaker's yard. You know, so they can be painted any colour you want, if you're green, or anything like to marry in, if one wanted to.
Okay. Okay, again, we struggle to find land, especially if they're industrial, in anything but flood zone 3. So we did the ones on Benwick Road. We've done, yeah, and we know, I know that the head of planning gets a bit upset when I say this, but Wisbech, we can mitigate against it by building up. So we can mitigate, you know, a builder's yard certainly, and the property. And the final one.
No, it's 4. We're on the 4th one now.
Sorry, I just done flood risk.
Submitted to demonstrate the proposed event would not result in adverse impact on the safe function of March Airfield to the west by virtue of the creation of a turbulent area or danger to users arising of the proposed palisade fencing, contrary to paragraphs. But anyway.
I believe it says insufficient, but I don't believe there's sufficient evidence either way. So I think we've asked, it came back up following a deferment, and I don't believe either party has shown anything different. So I think, you know, this has to be a judgment call on behalf of ourselves.
Also, we did hear, to counteract the palisade fencing, the applicant agent did agree to look at that, and they could do something different to secure the premises if it was need be, and we could leave that to officers to agree that with the applicant agent. So I think the palisade fencing, I think on the applicant agent's own voice, said that they would happily work to do that. So I think we're happy with that. And also, in the absence of a legal agreement or any enforceable mechanism to secure the delivery and occupation as a self-build unit. Yeah, well, we've heard that, so that the applicant could sign a unilateral agreement to build that as a self-build. Yeah. Are we?
Dear Chairman, in relation to the 5th routing refusal, that is to a certain extent a technical reason due to the lack of something being completed. So yeah, in theory.
But it's a reason that we've addressed.
Yeah, on the assumption that that was agreed and completed, then that would fall away. It's, you know, no different to any like major application that we refuse. It's best practice. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. So I don't know if anybody wants to add to that. I've sort of, Councillor Marks and I have gone through it as best we can, and I don't think there's too much to say. I've said I'm a little bit unhappy that nothing's ever come of it since October the 15th last year, and we are sitting where we are now. But it's in front of us, and we've got to judge by this. So I've got a proposal by Councillor Marks to go against officer recommendations, and I'm happy with those. We've been through the 5. Have I got a seconder for this? Conditions. Yeah, with conditions.
And the UU delegate.
Sorry?
And the UU, obviously.
Yeah. So, Councillor French, I'm looking for a seconder. Are you happy to second it? So I've got a proposal from Councillor Marks to go against officer recommendation, seconded by Councillor French. Can I have a show of hands on that? Okay, those against. So it's got to be 2. So abstentions then. No, you're sitting there. So we've got 1. So you're going to abstain, Councillor. Okay, so 1 abstention. So the application's finally been passed. Thank you. Approved, whichever. Thank you. Thank you, members, for getting back on time. Much appreciated. Now I'll hand over to David Rowan. He's the development manager here at Fenland to present agenda item number 8, F/YR25/0840F. So David, when you're ready, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is an outline application with matters committed in respect of access to erect up to 4 dwellings and form that access at the Piggeries, Flaggrass Hill Road in March. So the application site is shown in red on the location plan in the aerial photo. It sits to the rear of dwellings which front Creek Fen to the south and Flaggrass Hill Road to the west. It's within flood zone 1 with some surface water flooding identified to the west and east areas of the site. The site was previously subject to an outline planning permission granted in 2022. So this slide shows the location of the site in a slightly broader context. It sits within an area of development which is separated from the main built form of March, which is to the west, and which has limited pedestrian connectivity to the settlement. As such, it is considered to be within an elsewhere location for the purposes of the settlement hierarchy within the local plan. As indicated, the application is in outline with access committed. So the site plan shows the existing access from Flaggrass Hill Road being utilised. So on the left-hand side of the image, the remainder of the layout is illustrative only. However, it is considered to show a layout which would be acceptable in terms of amenity space, relationships with neighbouring dwellings, and parking and manoeuvring. And as such, an acceptable detailed scheme should be able to come forward if outline planning permission is granted. While scale is not a committed matter, the application does indicate that the dwellings would be single storey only, and this is a matter which could be conditioned. So photos on screen show the site. Photo 1 shows the access into the site, so looking back towards Flaggrass Hill Road. The remainder of the site, or the remainder of the photos show the site in its sort of current nature, largely overgrown, and as you can make out in some of those images, formerly the site of various buildings, etc., the hard standings of which are still there in some cases. So to summarise, the application is considered largely contrary to policy in terms of its separation from the main built form of March and its general elsewhere location. However, it has previously benefited from planning permission with no change in circumstances since that decision was made. Significant weight should be given to this planning history. In all other respects, the development is capable of being delivered with no adverse impacts, subject to conditions and subject to an appropriate scheme coming forward at a detailed stage. And as such, the recommendation is to grant outline planning permission as set out within the agenda. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, thank you, David. We have one speaker on this application. Now I'd like to ask Matthew Hall. He's the agent to make his presentation to the committee. You've got 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. So members will remember this application, which was supported by the Planning Committee in 2023 for exactly the same proposal. Small-scale development, four bungalows on a site set between existing properties. And we saw on the Google image, there's obviously a lot of development around it already. We submitted an ecology report, contamination report, and there are no objections. The site's all in flood zone 1. The previous application expired, I think it was mid to late last year. There's been a lot of interest in this site. The officer report sums it up very well. Mr. Rowan has summed it up very well, and it's recommended for approval. Thank you.
Right, Councillor French, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Have you been down there recently? We went down there Sunday, and I thought someone had thrown a bomb in the road. Is there any plans to do something with that road?
If I could just clarify, the actual road into the site, it's all overgrown, or the actual Flaggrass Road? I went down there 3 weeks ago. I think I sometimes see on Facebook people have been, not on this side, dumping stuff, etc., etc. This application doesn't include any improvements to Flaggrass Road now.
Anybody else at all? Councillor Benny, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hall, myself and my colleague here, Mrs. French, we do our site visits on a Sunday, and when we had a look at the farm on the previous planning meeting, and we drove down Flatgrass Fen then, and over the month from when we went to this time, that is really, really bad. I was in a 4x4 and the water was coming over. That wasn't quite that bad. Would you find it somewhere in your budget just to fill those holes in with a bit of type 1 stone? It would improve the area. We're not asking you to resurface the whole area, but it is terrible down there.
You don't have to answer.
No disrespect to the
to be
two
fair,
people here. I'm not sure what I can say. No disrespect.
there is
to
nothing
these
you
two.
can say. It's
Yeah.
a highway issue. Councillor
Okay,
Benny is
okay.
making a flippant comment. Okay. Anyway, that will disregard that one. Thank you for making no comment. Probably. Anybody else at all? Have you got another question? Go on then.
It's like the Somme down there. There were dead bodies floating in the puddles down there. There were carp had moved into one of the puddles. It needs just a bit of type 1 stone just to pack it up.
I think
Mr. Hall can't answer that.
I think your next phone call after this meeting ought to be for CCC Highways to see what they can do. In fact, we had one sitting there, so missed the boat on that one. I'm afraid that boat sailed. Right, so we'll get back to business on hand. Have we got any more comments for Mr. Hall? Councillor Purse, I hope it's not quite like that one.
Absolutely, that's all like have the craters in the road and that sort of thing. And Mr. Hall, I'm just wondering, with the obviously application before was approved, but we know the site's in a bit of a state, the road's in a bit of a state. Is there any other reason why it's not actually been developed within the timescale it had?
The applicant, which is in a family, there's I think 3 or 4 brothers or 3 brothers. There was a lot of interest in the site, and some of our clients were interested. There was, at least to my knowledge, 2 parties, not from this area, who progressed quite a long way, and then it dropped away. One, I think, was down to couldn't get the funding. The other one just seemed to drop away, and actually one of them, they wanted the applicants to sign an agreement to stage payments based on profit, etc., which they wouldn't. That took ages, and it just expired.
Okay, any more questions for Mr. Hall, please? Nope, thank you very much. Questions to officers, members? No. Okay. Righty-ho. So now, with that, I'd like to invite members to debate the item in respect to material planning considerations and ask officers any question relevant to the application. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand and please don't mention the roads. Anybody else, Councillor French?
It's already had planning permission. Unfortunately, it's run out. Don't see anything different to this, and I think we've wasted enough time this afternoon on lengthy applications. And as far as I'm concerned, it should be approved, and that's it.
Okay. I don't think anybody wants to add to that, do they? It's quite clear. Oh dear, do you? Go on.
Mr. Chairman, I agree.
Oh, well done. Well done. Okay, so thank you very much. I think we'll close the debate now. Officer, have you got anything to say? No. So really, I'm looking, can I ask if you support the proposal to go with do I have a proposal to go with officer recommendation to grant this planning permission? So I'm going to take somebody different this time. I'm going to take Councillor Purser. He's going to propose it.
Mr. Chairman.
And I'm going to take a second to Councillor Miffordon to go with officer. So, okay. So can I have a show of hands on that, please? So the application has been approved. Thank you very much. So without further ado, I'll hand over to David Rowan again to present agenda item 9. It's a linked application this time. It's FYR 250847 LB and FYR 250846F. So David, you're going to put both applications together, no doubt. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. So yes, as indicated, we've got two applications which seek to cover essentially the same work. One of those is an application for full planning permission. The other is an application for listed building consent, and the applications are at 27 Marketplace in Wisbech. So the application site is shown in red on the location plan and the aerial photo. It's located within the town centre of Wisbech, fronting onto the marketplace. And just to look at the heritage assets in the vicinity, the property itself is Grade 2 listed and within a row of other listed properties, and is also within the Wisbech Conservation Area. So the existing elevations of the building are shown here, with the central recessed doorway. And the applications propose a new shop front with the doorway moved to the right hand side of the frontage, external roller shutters installed, and new signage to both fascia and a projecting sign proposed. The photos showing the frontage of the property are on the screen, and see in slightly more detail in the bottom right the actual existing shop front that's in situ at the moment. So overall, it's considered that the changes to the shop front would unbalance the appearance of the building and would not be reflective of its historic form, to the detriment of the appearance of the listed building and indeed the wider conservation area. The introduction of the external shutters is not considered to be justified, and again would be harmful to the historic character of the building and the wider area, and the recommendation is therefore to refuse both applications as set out within the agenda. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you once again, David. Surprisingly enough, once again, we have no speakers on these applications. So members, put questions to officers. Take my glasses off. I can't see any hands up with glasses on. Can I see anyone with them off? No questions to officers at all? No? Okay. So now I'd like to invite members to debate the item in respect to material planning considerations and ask officers any questions relevant to the application. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand, and just for clarification, we're in debate, and Councillor Benny wants to kick it off. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Well, it's a shop. I spent a lot of my working years in a shop, and I can see why they want to change this. I tried to do this with my shop, and I can't remember whether we actually got an application in, but it wasn't favourably looked on by Fenland District Council. And the reason is, if you have the door in the centre, from a shop perspective, it's a waste of space either side of the door. Now, Savers is also a shop that my missus uses quite a bit. There's one in Ely and one in Huntingdon, and they always put their counter to one side. And by moving the door over, it will increase the sales area of the shop, and it will improve the customer flow around the shop. The fact you lose the doorway, I think when me and Councillor French went on Sunday, 2 doors up, someone was using one of the doorways as a bedroom. There was a chap sleeping there at 10 o'clock in the morning. And being an old shopkeeper, I know when you have a shop door, people use it as a toilet. And with it set back like that, it's disgusting when you come in the morning, you have to clean it up. So if you put it with the door is flat to the front, it helps. See, they're still having the side opening bit, but it's to me this makes perfect sense for the shop. We walked around Wisbech, me and Jan. We had a little wander around the market square, and it's full of empty shops. It's full, probably not the right word. There are a lot of empty shops in Wisbech, and truthfully, it looks derelict. The buildings are in a poor state of repair. A coat of paint would help. It's a rundown area, and if anyone's going to spend any money to improve this, I would be fully supporting this one. If we could get more shops or shopkeepers or companies to spend money on their shops, it would improve it. Wisbech Marketplace has been done up. It's very nice, but it's got a lot of empty shops. It's got a bad feel about it, and I think that although it's a listed building, I don't think it's going to make any significant damage, any harm to the building itself. And putting roller shutters there, looking at what we saw in Wisbech on a Sunday morning, I think that to have a shop, it's an off licence, so Savers sell alcohol. Businesses need to protect their premises as well. And I think that the roller shutter, we've already granted one in March, a month or two ago. We passed them in Chatteris. And when the shops are open, the shutters are up. And if it safeguards the property and it improves the business there, I think this is a good application from a retail point of view, and it is in a retail area, and we should be supporting it.
I'll take Councillor French next and Councillor Miffordin. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, we did go there Sunday morning. I hadn't been to Wisbech for some time. I'm quite amazed at the amount of empty shops. I think the owners of this shop really deserve a medal, wanting to invest into the shop rather than shut down. So I will be supporting this.
Councillor Miffordin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Just to support what Councillor Benny and Councillor French have said, I will be supporting this application. I live in Wisbech. I go into town on a daily basis, being walking around or just shopping or whatever, and I know the impact that vandalism has on shop fronts. Lots of today you will find a number of shops have their windows smashed. So I think from it, yes, I'm portfolio holder for heritage, but at the same time, we need to protect our high streets and make sure the businesses stay open. So I will be supporting this application. We have too many empty shops in Wisbech, and we don't want to encourage another one. So I will be supporting this. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Miffordin, wise words and thanks. Councillor Purser, you've got anything to add to that?
Thank you much. Really more to echo what Councillor Benny, Councillor French and Councillor Miffordin done. At the end of the day, we've really got to encourage businesses and high street businesses like this. It cleans it up, it tidies it up, it hopefully encourages people to go in and use the shop, so it can only be good for all concerned, really, and I will be fully supporting it. Thank you.
I think we more or less, I think probably there's a little bit of, we know where this may be ending up. So I'm going to close the debate now. Do you have any points that you'd like to make, officers? Thank you.
Thank you, through Chairman. Just to, I suppose, clarify the nature of the application. So we've got the proposed development on the screen. And just to clarify that the doorway would still be a recessed doorway. It won't be flush with the frontage, as you can see from the image at the bottom of the screen, just so that members are fully aware of what the proposal is and are clear on that. I think other than that, just to reiterate that it is a listed building, and there is a duty in law to give sort of great weight to protecting that listed building. But other than that, Chairman, nothing to add at all.
Okay. So what we'll do now, we'll take the recommendation on the application separately. Do I have a proposer to go against officer recommendation on this particular one? Because we're taking them separately. Sorry? I can't hear you.
Go with officers.
Oh yeah, well, that's it. No, it doesn't say so here. It's a... Sorry?
To go with officers' recommendation.
Oh yeah. So do we have a proposal to go with officer recommendation to refuse this application? Sorry.
This is the plan application on listed building.
On the listed building for a start, because we're taking them separately. Sorry. That's what I thought. So, no. So we know what we're voting for. So officer's recommendation for the listed building first. No. So that officer proposal has obviously failed. Can I have a look for another proposal, please? Councillor Benny?
Yeah, I propose we go against officers on the listed building listed building consent application.
And the reasons why, sir?
To go against and approve this. I don't think it does any harm at all to the building. I think if we look through Wisbech, we can see that lack of action is doing more harm to buildings than just changing this. There are shops, actually, when Councillor Ifford had mentioned that there's shops boarded up, there was one there we found had wooden all in front of the doorway. We should be encouraging this, and therefore, from the listed building perspective, I don't think this will there's no harm to the building at all. It's very much lake in, lake out. The doors moving, the signs. Well, it's a retail area, so I have no problem with that one.
I'm very happy with those reasons. Councillor Miffernan,
Sure, just
you're going to
support
second it.
oh yes, sorry, I will second it. Can I just say as well, as if can we place conditions that the work to be done to the frontage of the door be sympathetic to what's already there, even though they're going to move the entrance to one side of it.
Okay. It is.
Okay.
It is. It's my understanding that it is. Okay. So we've got a proposal to go against officer's recommendation to approve this. Councillor Benny's going to approve it. Councillor Miffernan is going to second it. Can I have a show of hands with that? That's unanimous. So we'll quickly move on to the other one. So in relation to FYR 25 0846, do I have a proposer to go with officer recommendation to refuse planning permission for that? No? Quickly. So that's obviously failed. Could I have another proposal, Councillor Benny? The reasons, please.
Yeah, I propose we go against officer's recommendation. I think that we should be supporting business. I think the roller shutters, looking at how Wisbech was on Sunday morning and the fact that there are shops that are boarded up and there's ones with broken windows there, I think a roller shutter is a good security aspect of this. And I think it's right for the retail units that's there. And if we don't support businesses when they come along with this, we won't have anything left in the centre of Wisbech. It'll be empty. And I'm pleased to see that savers are looking to invest money in Wisbech, and hopefully others will follow.
Okay, so we've got a proposal by Councillor Benny with the reasons I'm more than happy with. Councillor Miffernan has indicated he'd like to second it again. So we've got a proposal from Councillor Benny to go against officer recommendation, seconded by Councillor Miffernan. Can I have a show of hands on that? Thank you very much. That application has been approved also. So I'll now hand over to Kimberly Crowe. She's the development officer here at Fenland to present agenda item 10 FYR 25 0833F. So whenever you're ready, Kimberly, please. Thank you.
For the purpose of the recording, I'm Kimberly Crowe, Development Management Officer at Fenland District Council. Agenda item 10 is a full planning application for a change of use of an existing retail unit to one dwelling at 2 Scrimshare's Passage in Wisbech. So the application site is edged red on both the location plan and the aerial photo. Then there's a site plan on screen. As detailed within the committee report, an application was approved at number 3, which is immediately south of number 2, for the change of use from retail to a 2-storey 3-bed dwelling. As you can see from the site plan, the floor area of number 3 is greater than that of number 2 at approximately 81 square metres, and number 2 is 28 square metres. So the proposed elevations are shown on screen. The only external alteration proposed is the replacement of an unauthorised window at first floor level. The floor plans are shown on screen as well. So the ground floor would comprise a bedroom and sitting area, and the first floor would comprise a kitchen and a shower room. And there's a street scene for completeness as well. So some site photos. The top left is taken from School Lane, with number 2 situated on the right hand side of the path. The top right photo shows the principal elevation of number two in a bit more detail, and you can see that unauthorised window at the first floor level there. And then the bottom photo is taken in front of number 3, looking back towards School Lane. So the principle of development is considered to be acceptable given the sustainable location of the site. However, the proposed unit would comprise 28 square metres of accommodation. The nationally described space standards set out that a minimum gross internal floor area for a 2-storey 1-bedroom dwelling should be at least 58 square metres. The application form submitted with the application states that the dwelling would be social, affordable or intermediate rent accommodation. However, this is not referenced within the design and access statement nor within any other documents submitted with the application. It's considered that the development was result in a cramped and oppressive environment for future occupiers due to the restricted floor space of the unit, thereby failing to achieve high levels of amenity and a high quality living environment. This is exacerbated by the lack of any type of yard area or private amenity space. The development is therefore considered to be contrary to both policies LP2 and LP16 of the Fenland Local Plan and Chapter 12 of the MPPF, in particular paragraph 135F, and is therefore recommended for refusal.
Yeah, thank you very much. Kimberly, we have one written representation on this application from Alexandra Patrick, the agent. Could I ask that Member Services Elaine read this written representation, please? Thank you, Elaine.
We believe the recommendation for refusal on this site is based on a subjective feeling rather than a consistent application of policy. The officer's verdict is that the space is oppressive. However, quality of life is not defined by a tape measure alone. It is defined by light, layout and functionality. We have designed a purposeful, high-quality home intended for a single occupant or a young professional, a demographic that is currently underserved in Wisbech. To understand why we disagree with the oppressive label, we only have to look at this council's own recent decisions. 1. The former Wallshop Wisbech. This council approved a flat with a nearly identical floor area. In that case, the space was deemed to provide a high level of amenity. 2. The Hare and Hounds. This committee recognised that site-specific context and clever design often outweigh strict square footage requirements. 3. The immediate neighbour. You recently approved a shop to residential conversion right next door, so you've already established that this row is suitable for homes. Our proposal simply completes the transition of this building. It is consistent with the character of the street and crucially consistent with the precedents you have already set. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. So with that, members, questions, clarifications to officers, please. A Wisbech member? Nothing? So I'd now like to invite members to debate the item in respect to the material considerations and ask officers any questions relevant to the application. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. So after that, we're in debate and Councillor Benny would like to kick it off. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah. Myself and Councillor French found this little gem of a property when we were out on Sunday morning. Retail is disappearing from our way of life. Amazon, we can't keep building Amazon centres everywhere and delivering parcels and expecting shops to survive. What would you put in there as a shop? We've got empty shops all throughout Wisbech, and truly turning the ones on the periphery into accommodation makes perfect sense. The government knows this. The previous government knew this. They're looking at shopping centres, converting those into flats to make them for people. And it pushes what retail there is more into the centre of Wisbech, which would help Wisbech. It's a small place, yes, but there was a gentleman sleeping in a shop doorway when we were out on Sunday, and I'm sure that he would be very grateful for this rather than having to sleep in the open air. We've got a housing problem in Fenland where we've got people waiting for housing, and if this produces a home for somebody, it may not be a perfect home, but it's a stepping stone. It's a big step up from living on the pavement. And truly getting rid of a tattoo parlour, excellent. There's far too many of them about. So I look at this and I just think this is maybe not ideal, but it's ideal for what is there. And I will be supporting this application.
Yeah, so I think I'll come in there. Yeah, I called this into committee. I thought this would be of interest to committee. On application number 12, which will be coming up shortly, I had some information from Miss Dan Horn, he's the director at Fenland here, saying there's 491 households on the waiting list at Fenland. 491. So this is, as Councillor Benny said, it's not ideal, but it would do it would be quite okay, I would have thought, for a single person or like that. So I will be supporting this application. We can't keep having this. We can't keep having people in bed and breakfast. If there's an opportunity like this to come down, as I said, it's not ideal, but we must take these opportunities to make these these shops, ex-shops, into accommodation if we can. So after that speech, Councillor French.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I totally agree with you, what you've just said, and Councillor Benny. It's certainly an interesting passageway. Certainly, when we were there Sunday, it had been used as a toilet as well. But as Councillor Benny said, one of the it was the gentleman sleeping rough in one of the doorways next to the previous application, and then if you walked up another couple of shops, I think there was 4 or 5 of them. They weren't sleeping, they're all huddled in there. And then as you turn into Hill Street, it's just full of empty shops, which really should be brought back into use. I know that Wisbech have got £20 million. I'm going to suggest to them that maybe they buy some of these shops and do them up, especially in Hill Street. I will be supporting this.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor French. Councillor Mifferton, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just an echo of what Councillor French and everyone else, as Councillor Benny has said as well. I will be supporting this application. I know this street very well. I walk my route when I do. I do walk it. You just keep an eye on things happening in the area. And like Councillor French said, you walk down that street and then you turn left or right into Hill Street. There are empty shops all over the place, and even the shops that are there that appear to be open, there's never anyone in there. So there's if we don't approve this application to be converted into residential accommodation, it's just going to be another empty building in town when we could easily have people living there. So I will fully support this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I can see perhaps where this is going, so I'm going to close this debate now. So officers, have you got anything to add to this? So I suppose now, do I have a proposer to go with officer recommendation to refuse planning permission? To refuse planning permission, to be clear. There's nobody sticks their hands up I can see, so obviously that proposal has failed. I'm looking for another one. Councillor Mifferton, what is your proposal and the reasons for doing so?
My proposal, Chair, is that we go against officers' recommendations and approve this application for the simple fact that we need residential accommodation in Wisbech. We need places for people to stay. Thank you.
Right, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I think we've probably summed it up in the. So, do I have a seconder for that? Councillor French, you'll second it. So we've got a proposal to go against officer recommendation to approve this application, proposed by Councillor Mifferton, seconded by Councillor French. I don't think we don't need too many conditions, do we?
Obviously, we'll need conditions. So
but we don't need any onerous ones, do we?
Well, I would hope we don't have any onerous ones, obviously.
Well, don't necessarily agree with that one, but we'll carry on. So with conditions given to officers, and I would like to have a look at the conditions, please, as normal. So could I have a show of hands on that? So that application has been approved. So we'll go to number 11, which is a TPO. And Kimberly is going to do a presentation on that. Agenda item 11, TPO 01 and 2026. So whenever you're ready, Kimberly, please. Thank you.
Thank you. So agenda item 11 is a tree preservation order for one eucalyptus tree at Station Street in Chatteris. The location of the tree is shown on the location plan and the aerial photo. The tree is situated to the front of number 23 Station Street. Some site photos shown on the screen showing views of the tree from various points along Station Street. So matters relating to the issue and confirmation of a TPO are normally dealt with by delegated powers. However, we have received 2 objections from address points along Station Street. We've also received this afternoon comments from Chatteris Town Council confirming they support TPO. So the provisional TPO was placed on the tree following an application for works to trees in the conservation area. The council's arboricultural officer was consulted on that application and raised an objection to the felling of the eucalyptus, as the tree is in a prominent location within the street scene and has a high amenity value. There was no suitable justification provided with that application, and therefore a TPO was recommended. The confirmation of the TPO will enable a greater control of any works proposed to this tree in question, as well as potentially enabling replacements to be sought if felling were approved. So the recommendation is therefore to accept the TPO.
Thank you very much once again, Kimberly. I'd now like to ask Donna Barwell. She's an objector to the TPO to make her presentation to the committee. You've got 5 minutes. And could you introduce yourself before you start speaking? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair and Committee, for this opportunity to speak. My objection is straightforward. Sorry. Oh, did I?
Just start again, and we'll get the time. We'll get the time put back. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm Donna Barwell. I'm here today to object to the TPO. Start again. Thank you for allowing me for the opportunity to speak. My objection is straightforward. The eucalyptus tree at 23 Station Street is unsafe, unsuitable for its location, and the temporary tree preservation order was issued without the necessary evidence or assessment. The provisional TPO was imposed without an arboricultural inspection. There was no assessment of the tree's structural condition, its risk level, its life expectancy, or its suitability for long-term retention. A TPO should only be confirmed when a tree provides significant public amenity and when it is expedient to protect it. Neither requirement has been met. This tree has multiple well-documented structural defects. It has had previous branch failures, it has visible decay and extensive bark loss. It has a pronounced lean of around 45 degrees, and its species typically has shallow rooting and brittle wood. One of the most important points is the species behaviour of sudden limb drop. Eucalyptus trees are known for shedding large branches without warning, even in calm weather. Following an incident of this nature, which was reported to the Council in June 2025, we were advised to make that tree safe. My concern is therefore not theoretical. Several branches have already fallen from this tree, and it has been unfortunate that these have been inside my boundary. If those should have fallen on the opposite direction, it would have landed where children walk to the local primary school and where vehicles regularly pass. This demonstrates a real risk. Eucalyptus trees are not native. They grow very fast and have shallow spreading roots that can affect drains, structures, and they are, as I said, prone to structural failure. In a confined, high-traffic, urban setting, I do not believe this tree is suitable for long-term retention. It also offers limited ecological value compared with native alternatives. Given the tree's condition, its species characteristics and its location, I do not believe that it can be reasonably considered suitable for long-term protection. The TPO was issued reactively following a felling application and not based on evidence. The statutory test of amenity value or expediency has not been observed. Protecting a hazardous tree in a high-risk location is not in the public interest. In closing, I want to make it clear to the committee that removing this tree is not in our aesthetic interest. At present, this tree actually screens the properties across the road, and its removal would open up that view. We also have other trees on our property that include a cherry and laburnum that are currently stunted because of the eucalyptus's size and dominance. If this tree were removed, those trees would finally be able to grow and flourish, improving the long-term character and greenery of the area. My position is not about convenience or preference. It is about safety, suitability, and responsible management. If deemed appropriate, I would be willing to replace the eucalyptus with a more appropriate species, subject to guidance, and that will provide genuine amenity without posing a risk. For these reasons, I respectfully request that the Council withdraw or decline to confirm the TPO. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for a very eloquent presentation. Members, questions, clarifications to Mr. Barwell? I'm looking. See nobody? No, so thank you very much. Members, questions, clarifications to officers? You have one, Councillor Marks, thank you.
Do we believe our tree officer has actually been out to look at this? He has. Thank you, David.
Any more questions to officers at all? Oh, well, yeah, well done. Great minds think alike. David, thank you.
Yeah, just I think to probably come back to Councillor Marks in a little bit more detail and for the benefit of the committee. As part of the assessment of the application for works to various trees within this site, which included the felling of this eucalyptus tree, the Council's arboricultural officer has done what's known as a tree valuation method for preservation orders, 10-hole form, which is kind of an industry standard sort of series of assessments of a tree, including its sort of health, its general condition, etc., etc. So, in coming to the conclusion that it is worthy of a tree preservation order, there has been an assessment done.
More questions to officers, thank you. So, I'd now like to invite members to debate the item in respect to the material considerations and officers and ask questions relevant to the TPO. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. So we're in debate, everybody, and Councillor Marks. Thank you.
I think we've heard from the lady who obviously owns the tree. One thing she did say was, I think it was upkeep and safety. But why has the tree not been kept? Safety, has obviously been a paramount importance going through the years. So why all of a sudden has that suddenly become an issue if it had been upkept? We've had our tree officer out. We need to support, I believe, our tree officer who's written a report. He's the professional. So on this occasion, I'm sorry, I think I will be backing the TPO.
Thank you.
I have another take on this. That house has been owned by Jim Allen. It was owned by Carol Day. That house has been sold several times. I didn't know who lived there before. I don't know the lady. But, eucalyptus trees. My neighbour had one in their garden where I used to live, and it grew and grew and grew. The branches do fall off them. They're not a native species. From listening to the speaker, she's more than happy to replace this tree with another tree. I think they're native of Australia, so their root systems and their growing is completely different to how we would find of a native species in the UK. And personally, I would rather see it replaced with a UK species. Native, that's the word, thank you. There's so many words you could use. I was fighting for one that would make sense, and I came up with the wrong one. Thank you, Chairman. Yeah. No, I mean, it is big. Trees need management. They don't last forever. And I know the garden there. It's a lovely garden. And it's very, very dominant. And I can understand why the other trees are not thriving. The tree officer, by nature of his job, is always going to support trees. No, I won't be supporting this application today.
Okay, Councillor French.
Thank you. Do you actually know how old this tree is?
Yeah, I will. Just the answer to the age of the tree, please. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. So, Councillor French, did you want to come back on that, Councillor French, before we let you go? Councillor Purser, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. With all due respect to the tree officer, who obviously is a professional, he normally knows his job and all the likes, with there not having been a TPO on this one before, if it is actually getting into a bit of a dangerous state, then like, why has it not been trimmed back? And there's a word for it, which I can't think off the top of my head. Sorry? Pollarded, that's the word I was looking for, yeah. Why has it not been pollarded before? And my thoughts are, if they did put a TPO on it now, and it did get an even dangerous state and it fell on the child and injured him or killed him, would we forgive ourselves for allowing it to go forward?
So, what I'm going to do is bring Matthew L, Head of Planning, in that, and then I'm going to take Sydney Miffordin, Councillor Miffordin, then I'm going to come in. So, the floor is yours at the moment, Matt.
Thank you, Chairman. Obviously, the responsibility of the tree management sits with the owner of the tree. It doesn't sit with us, the council.
Yeah.
The applicant has come in to remove the tree. They've not come in with works to reduce it to any maintenance. So, obviously, the tree officer's it's been on site, done assessment. Part of the 10-post scoring system is about the long-term health. It takes into account quite a number of different criteria. If Kim can check me a laptop, I can actually read them out to you members. So it takes into account the condition of and suitability of the tree, the remaining longevity, so it looks at like levels of health, etc. How visible it is in the public, because obviously it might be a great tree, but if no one can see it, it's no merit in putting on a TPO. And then there are other factors which such as principal components of former agricultural features, whether it's basically it's unusual or some things like that. As Kim's report says in paragraph 4.2, definitely merits is level 15. This scored a 16 in that, so our tree officer definitely considers it has merits. So yeah, obviously it's not in our gift to. We don't police the streets. We don't go around saying these trees are dangerous, etc. Because it's on a conservation and a consent. In relation to your point about health and risk in the future, we're not saying we won't allow any work. A substantial part of the local planning authority's caseload is applications for works to trees with TPOs, and regularly they're split by arboriculturist reports, etc. Pollarded, general trimming, bringing it back. Could be raising it. Could be a whole suite of works that are done to them, and generally they are allowed. And obviously one of the reasons is if you can demonstrate there are health issues with the tree, they will be allowed. Obviously, because sometimes obviously management can solve them, and other times it will need to be removed. That sort of brings me on to a side point, actually, in relation to what the objector said. I know it sounds probably a bit inverse and a bit perverse potentially. The only way actually to require a tree to be replaced is actually to impose a TPO. And it's actually standard practice. For example, if a tree can be relatively unhealthy and it's a borderline case, to actually impose a TPO, just then to allow them to remove it so that you can replace it, so you can mitigate the harm of the loss of the tree. So even if members had concerns with this tree and actually said potentially, it's a eucalyptus tree, for example, I think that's what Councillor Mayor said, it's inappropriate because it's not native, which I wouldn't agree with as principle. And I would say, that there is, an awful lot of trees across the country that are offer a lot of amenity just because they're not native. And the point about ecology isn't a consideration for a TPO, just for clarity. So obviously we all know that native trees generally provide betterment in that than non-native for obvious reasons, but that's not consideration in this. But if members do think that this tree, looking at it right there, adds to the character of the area and has value, but are concerned about the principle of this eucalyptus tree, my professional advice with them would actually be still confirm the tree preservation order, and then if a subsequent application came in to remove this tree and to replace it with a different tree, which is if members consider be more appropriate, safer, etc., the correct way to actually end up to doing that is still to confirm the TPO. It probably sounds a little bit unusual, but it's about installing us with the legal powers to actually affect it. Because if members go, and I'm not questioning the objector at all, but as we all know, you've heard me say it probably 100 times over the last 18 months when I've been here, whatever's said there is just said there, unless it's part of the formal application or there's any legal controls, we can't require that. And but yeah, but hopefully I answered your question.
You have. It's a bit the back to the front, but
Yeah.
I do understand it, and I hope members do here. Well, we're still in debate after all that. Councillor Benny, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I had a horse chestnut in my garden at the old house, and the tree officer actually came and had a look at it because I had some work done to it. It was getting too tall and it was dangerous, and he agreed with that. And he said, "Oh," he said, "that's a healthy specimen of a tree." He said, "That's all right." And then when I had the chap in, I can't think of his name. Anyway, the tree person who came and did the cutting, I think we took surgeon. Yeah, thank you. It's like living next door to a dictionary here today, isn't it? Yeah, sorry, my English is poor today, everybody. I think we took about 6 meters out the top of my tree, and when when Daniel came to do the trimming, he said, "No, the tree is unsafe," and we contacted the tree surgeon. Tree surgeon, that's the word.
Tree doctor.
And yeah, and the arbor said, "Do whatever he thinks is necessary to sort the tree out," and he did. So from the first visit to the second, he didn't catch the fact that the tree was dangerous in part.
Councillor Mark. Oh,
Sorry,
I'll
can I
do.
just point out
Sorry.
clarity.
Hold on.
I just think I'd like to highlight. I'm guessing that I wouldn't want to bring any questions into the capabilities of the tree officer, particularly as it probably isn't the same tree officer now, and our current tree officer is obviously a commercial entity with a lot of experience. So I'm not saying you are, but just for the benefits of the tape, I'm suggesting that that shouldn't really be given any weight in the consideration of this matter.
I think what that means, disregard the professional ability of this guy who's doing this tree preservation or looking at it. So I think that's where we need to be there. No, the other one. Yeah. No, not this guy.
I'm not bringing any question into his ability. It's just until you actually climb up the tree, you don't see what it's like.
Councillor Mifford and then Councillor Marks.
Thank you, Chair. I think what it's important from my perspective is everyone, I suppose, is public safety. And yes, we've had a tree officer out to look at it, but from what the lady who lives, sorry, not to address you like that, from her presentation, she lives there. She's seen the tree branches fall off a number of times, and you can see from the picture there's a great lean on it as well. The root system is shallow, so no one knows when that's going to come down. And like Councillor Benny said, without someone actually going and doing some work on the tree, you won't know what state of health it's in. So, and I don't think she's after just removing the tree she's offered to plant another tree there if that's the case. So I think in this situation, personally, I'll be looking at it from a public safety point of view. And if the species of this tree is known to shed branches without warning, I think we should consider her point of view. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Marks. Sorry, David.
Okay, thank you. I think just to come in on Councillor Maffredon's point, I mean, ultimately we had an application to fell the tree, which is kind of why the TPOs come around anyway. So clearly there is an intention there to fell it. Branches fall off trees, even sort of healthy trees. You get a force 9 gale, and branches fall off. I think as the head of planning has indicated, there is a responsibility on the owner of any tree to make sure that it's in as sort of safe a condition as possible. And via just imposing a tree preservation order does not preclude any further work being done to that tree. It just gives a degree of control to the works that are taking place. So if members do accept the TPO this afternoon, there is absolutely nothing stopping the owner of the tree making an application tomorrow to do significant work to the tree, and that will be considered on its merits. Again, while the speaker has indicated that they would be willing to plant a replacement tree, the only way to legally ensure that is, again, as the head of planning's indicated, to actually put on a tree preservation order. If the council just accepts the felling of the tree, there is no legal requirement to ensure that that tree is replaced. The only mechanism to do that is through imposing the TPO. So hopefully that provides a bit of clarity.
It certainly does. Councillor Mark, sorry, do you want to come in?
Can I just piggyback on what David just said? And I think one other point Councillor Mifton made, and to take almost Councillor Benny's point earlier, obviously quite often you can do an initial consideration of a tree and it could look healthy, it could look quite ill, and there's an assess, and then like Councillor Benny said, actually when someone came down and actually started doing the works, they found it was worse. We don't even have an initial report saying it's unhealthy with this. It is just anecdotal that occasionally branch is full. We don't know if there's any health risks or issues with the tree. We don't know if there isn't. We don't know if it's one branch or two branches that could be problematic. We don't know actually if a slight reduction of the tree would mitigate all of this. None of that information is with us, and that's the point. You know, all we know is they've said sometimes trees branches. They've said sometimes trees lose branches, and they want to remove it. There is no arboriculturist report in front of us backing up that this tree needs to be removed for health and safety reasons. It's anecdotal evidence, and just like with all things in planning, you know, you'll never get me very comfortable with the idea of just relying on anecdotal evidence. You know,
that's right.
It would be normal practice that an arbor report would be submitted, and it'd be a worry as a point of principle if members accepted that professional reports aren't needed, just generally in planning. Thank you, Chair.
I think after Councillor Marks have his say, I think maybe I may have a solution, but Councillor Marks, please.
Thank you. I heard exactly what Councillor Benny has said, also what planners have said. I think if we go the route of TPO, we safeguard the tree instead of just cutting it down. If, however, by then we're going to reduce the size of the tree, somebody turns up and says it's in a poor or bad state and needs to come down, then when we, again, it will go back to the tree officer via planning, and the decision will be to take it down, and a replacement tree, we're safeguarding the replacement tree as well. If, however, it's not in bad condition and it can be pollarded to a safe condition, then we've got a 40, 50-year-old tree, 60-year-old tree standing there, and it does add to the street scene there. It is one of those things. And equally, we've got to have our green ticket at times as well. I think the lady has come along and made a very good presentation, and health and safety has to be of paramount importance, but just cutting it down because of health and safety, I'm a little uneasy about. However, should they get into it and find rotten, and Councillor Benny's right, trees rot inside, you can't see it till you get up there. Somebody either climbs it, goes up in a cherry picker or whatever, and has a look and goes, it's done. Then at least we've safeguarded the future of another tree being put in there as well. The lady may move next week, and if that tree is taken down, we have no guarantee that will be replaced. At least with the TPO, we will have that guarantee in place.
I think I know where I am. May I suggest that sorry, wiggling your pen. Go on.
Thank you. Yeah, I was say thanks to David the way that he did actually explain that. It makes sense to put a TP on, then the lady can apply to do trimmings or pollarding or whatever. And as Charlie's just said as well, if it is dangerous and in bad condition, then the whole thing, and then we can condition a replacement tree. So I thank David for explaining that.
Yeah, he did explain it well, and that's what I was going to say. Basically, is put the TPO on. The lady will do an application and works the tree, and if it's found to be unsafe, we can go to another level, and that is where I think I am on this one. But there we are. I'm going to shut the debate now. I think we've all had a say, haven't we? I think we're all happy and finished with that. Okay. So debate's finished. Officers, have you got anything to say? I think you did say quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, nothing new.
Yeah, you haven't got many more to say, have you? I think you. Right. So, do I have a proposer to go with officer recommendation to confirm the TPO in respect of one eucalyptus tree? Do I, Councillor Marks, you're proposing it, are you, to keep the T? And you're going to second it, Councillor French. So we've got a proposal from Councillor Marks, seconded by Councillor French, to endorse the TPO on this particular tree. Can we have a show of hands on that?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Those against?
2.
So that application by 4 to 2, that TPO, we're going to enforce that TPO. Thank you. So finally, we get to agenda item number 12. It's an urgent item, as mentioned in item 1. In one item, I'll now hand over to David Rowan to present agenda item number 12, FYR 250088, Plan OB, for whatever that means. But anyway, David can do the presentation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So this is an application to modify a planning obligation which was attached to an outline application back in 2019 relating to a development of 50 dwellings land south of 8 to 59 Fairbairn Way in Chatteris. So the development site is shown in red on the location plan and aerial photo. It has significantly been developed out for housing. And there's a number of those dwellings are now complete and waiting to be occupied. The application in front of members seeks to modify the legal agreement to ensure that the development is actually 100% affordable housing, which effectively is 37 extra affordable homes. So just to refresh members' memories, the original application for outline permission came to committee in October 2019, with the reserved matters application then following in June 2023, and the approved site plan is on the screen. I say to sort of refresh members' memories and just to show exactly what we're talking about. Subsequently, a registered provider has taken on the development of the site, and it is now proposed to deliver 100% affordable housing on the site, which would help to meet the historic under-delivery of this within the district. And as the chairman indicated earlier, there is a waiting list which the council has for people to be basically moving into affordable accommodation. Hence, that this actually that's the reason for this being an urgent item, so that this can actually get sort of people moved in basically in the next few weeks, hopefully. Unfortunately, as part of the increase in the affordable housing provision, the education contribution would reduce down to £100,000. However, the County Council have accepted this. The original open space contribution of £38,720 is unaffected, and therefore the recommendation is to grant the deed of variation as set out within the agenda. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, David. We have no speakers on this application. Now, members, questions, clarifications to officers? Councillor French has one. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I can't really remember this application. Has it got public? I've got a couple of questions. Public open space, or is it going to have play equipment? Because I'm thinking of Pride and Place funding that's coming aboard, and we're looking to. I mean, we've got places in March. They've got like 40, 50 kids, and there's no play equipment at all. And that's the new one at Nut Tree Close off Wisbeach Road. A little while ago, when we were discussing the Wisbeach one, you said there was 491 people on the waiting list across Fenland. No, it's 491 in Chatteris alone. It used to be 3,000 on the whole of the waiting list, but it does actually say in 1.2 of this, it's 491 registered within the council in Chatteris. So if we can just get that right, please.
It says the numbers fluctuate daily as it is a live database. But at the time of writing this report, on Monday the 2nd, The numbers fluctuate daily as it's a live database. At the time of writing the report, there are 491 households registered with the council looking for affordable rent with Chatteris as their preference. We have an acute pressures for Fenland households who need affordable housing.
Thank you.
This is in Chatteris.
Yeah, but you'll find it's probably about 2,000 on the waiting list across the whole of Finland.
It's Dan Horn's report to me. I mean, that is a sort of a statement, really, more than anything. But you agree with that?
The question, sorry, David. The question was, is there going to be any play equipment?
Yeah, that was about 5 minutes ago. Yeah. So can you answer that?
Through you, Chairman. Unfortunately, my system has just had a malfunction. So if you leave that with us 2 minutes, we might be able to give you an answer on that. Apologies.
Okay. So any more questions to officers while David tries to get his computer working? And it's Councillor Mifferton. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, my question is, I don't know if officers can answer this. The affordable housing, affordable to who exactly? The reason I say that is...
through you, Chairman, that's defined in the MPPF. That's defined in the MPPF, what is affordable housing.
Thank you. Is there a way we can put... Can this be to Fenland residents, local residents only?
Through you, Chairman, it's through our allocations policy, which I'm not 100% intimate with, but it would normally be a connection. So, yeah, I think it is in the report, but yeah, it isn't 100% guaranteed to be residents, but connection. But in most instances, it is residents. But yeah, thank you, Chairman.
Right, I can quote: allocations to be made into the properties using FDC cabinet approved housing lettings policy. So it's been agreed by the cabinet. Okay, so it's an approved scheme by the cabinet. Can't get any bigger than that, can we? So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, any more questions to officers before we close it? No. Okay, let's finish that then. So I'd like to invite members to debate the item with respect to the material considerations and ask officers any questions relevant to the application. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand. So basically we're in debate. So who wants to kick it off? Councillor Benny, Chatteris councillor, well done, thank you.
Yeah. Bit disappointed it's not going to be market housing, but there is a need for affordable housing. My only reservation is that it is for local people. If people are from Chatteris or people from within Fenland want to come and live in Chatteris, that's fine. But we should give priority to local people before we start taking people in from wherever else they come. This should be for local people, and that's my only concern. We are where we are with it. It isn't quite what I'd hoped, but if it provides homes for people, that should be our priority as councillors. And if it goes to local people, then I'm very happy with that as well.
I've been categorically advised by Dan Horn that is the case, and hopefully that will give you some sort of comment, comfort. Comfort, yeah, comfort comment. Who cares? But that's giving you the comfort, isn't it? So, anybody else at all? Anybody else want to add to the debate before I close it? No, we're finished then. So, right, anything, officers, do you want to, I know you've had a little bit of a say. Would you like to continue? And
through you, Chairman, I'm still trying to find Councillor French's information. Apologies for that. I think in terms of the issues around sort of nomination rights, etc., set out at 3.3 in the report. So we will be receiving the nomination rights as a council to all but 5 of the dwellings, and then they will be basically allowing the council to select who goes into the premises.
That wasn't actually my main question. My main question was about play equipment. As you know, we're working on Pride and Place, and there is going to be a cabinet report going to, I believe, the end, 23rd of March, and I think today is the deadline. So I will speak to Phil Hughes and ask him, because we keep building these houses and they give us X amount of money. I mean, we've got one at Nuttree, so we're doing the Pride and Place, and each town is getting a certain amount of money. So we need to be looking at new places as well. If you're saying houses are ready to move into, a few months' time, you're probably going to have 50 kids in there.
Absolutely correct. You'd like to come back now?
Chairman, paragraph 8.11 of the report says the open space contribution was secured for off-site provision or improvement of facilities within the area of Chatteris Town Council. This was in accordance with the development contribution SPD, as the site was too small to require anything on site, and very limited open space for proposed in the development at the reserved matter stage, because that's the reserved matter stage plan. As you can see, there isn't any play equipment or anything shown on that. So yes, and that's why the £38,000 is still seen as necessary, even though our SPD did say that 100% affordable doesn't need to provide Section 106 contributions in most instances. It was because this was needed to offset a harm from the development because it didn't provide it on site. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, I'm like Councillor French. I would have liked to see some play equipment on there. There's 50 affordable houses there, so there's going to be children. Where are these children going to go out so they can be supervised properly? I mean, you can say, well, we'll send more to Wenny Road. We can put another £38,000 there, but out of sight, out of mind. I would really press to get some equipment on there, really.
Thanks, Chairman. We've probably missed the boat on the Pride and Place, but we do have Inspired as well. So I think we need to look at this, because I don't know Chatteris that well, so I don't know where the nearest play equipment is. Maybe Councillor Benny can.
Councillor Benny must certainly do so.
Well, I should have to take Mrs. French to Chatteris and show her the sites, wouldn't I? Only thing is, we don't get a McDonald's when we go to Wisbech. We get a McDonald's.
Can we have? Do you know where the question was? Do you know where the nearest play equipment is to this application site?
Probably Huntingdon Road. There is, I think, there's a small one in. There is a small park, but the main one would be the Huntingdon Road one.
Okay, so that's perhaps a good idea. The Inspire projects. So probably we need to park that, don't we? You're the man.
The Inspire projects we hoping to deliver in about a year, so I don't know if we have enough time to include in this application.
Of course we have.
Be built in a year. Yeah, the projects have to be delivered. No,
that's Pride and Place.
Thank you.
We're just disappointed there isn't any there, but we can alleviate that hopefully in the future. Okay. So I'm gonna we've done officers. You don't want to say any more, do you?
No.
You've done that, and Councillor French is not happy, but quiet at least. So I'm going to look for a proposer now. Do I have a proposer to go with officer recommendation to grant planning permission for this? Councillor French is going to propose it. Councillor Miffiden's going to second it. Can I have a show of hands on that? The application variation of conditions has been approved. Thank you. It leads me to do is say thank you for attending. This concludes today's business at more or less 4 o'clock, and I declare this meeting closed. The next meeting, strangely enough, is on April the 1st. So all beware. Thank you.